Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 10.1, all about telling time to the minute. So, here we go. Groundhog Day is February 2nd. People say that if a groundhog can see its shadow on that morning, winter will last another 6 weeks. The clock, over here, shows the time when the groundhog saw its shadow. What time was it? So, you see these blue lines here. You can write the minute that they represent. Again, each jump is 5 minutes, as you can see. Yesterday we did some skip counting by fives to warm up for this lesson. So I'm going to continue going around at 45. Whoop. The 10 is 50, 55, and that's technically 60 a full hour. Okay. It says, look at the time on the clock face. What does the hour hand tell you? So I wrote the hour hand, which is always the smaller one, right? Hour, this one's the minute. The hour hand is telling me that the time is between 7 and 8 o'clock, right? It's not 8 o'clock yet. We're in between there. We're approaching 8 o'clock. Not yet, though, so it's between 7 and 8 o'clock. Notice how I wrote o'clock? There is an apostrophe here after the O, so make sure to start writing it that way. Now, what does the minute hand tell you? And that's the longer one. Well, the minute hand tells us that we're after 7:30, right? We're like right here, but this is a pretty important part of the clock, the 30, the half hour there. So I wrote it is after 7:30. In 1 minute, the minute hand moves from one mark to the next on the clock. These little ones are your minutes. It takes 5 minutes for the minute hand to move from one number to the next on the clock, which is shown here, right? One number to the next, each jump is 5 minutes. You can count on by fives to tell time to 5 minutes. Count 0 at the 12. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So the groundhog saw its shadow at 7:35. That's where those arms are pointing to. This is it in written form, just our regular numbers. Now we're going to read it. 7:35. Notice I have a dash here. 35 minutes after 7. Very important. I want you to focus on this one right here. 35 minutes after 7 is another way to say this. And a lot of people do say time like that. Oh, what time is it? Oh, it's 15 minutes past 11. Okay, so it's 11:15. So try to get used to that. You do hear it more than you think. I'm normally someone who will just say 7:35, but I know, my mom or a lot of people that I'm around will tell time like that. 20 minutes past 6, okay, that's 6:20. All right, moving on. Is 7:35 a reasonable answer? Explain. Yes, because the hour is between 7 and 8, and it is after 7:30. So it is a reasonable answer to say it's 7:35. Next page, we are on 652. Count by fives and ones to help you. One way to do this is to find minutes after the hour. Look at the time on the clock face. By the way, there's different types of clocks that we are going to be coming across later on in the lesson, and this is just one type of clock, but we're going to be working with digital clocks too, lots of different ones. So here we go. What does the hour hand tell you? I wrote the time is between 1 and 2 o'clock. And if we look at that hour hand, the shorter one, it's right between 1 and 2 o'clock. It's not 2 yet. All right. If it was 2, it would be past the 2 a little bit. What does the minute hand tell you? I said it is before 1:30, right? It's before that 6. So it's before 1:30. Again, the 30-minute mark is a big part of the clock, right? That's halfway through. It's a significant time. So that's why it is before 1:30, I wrote. Again, 1:23 can be seen like this. We can write it in words. 23 minutes after 1, right? That's another way that people express the time. 23 minutes after 1 o'clock. And then here it is, 1:23. We've got our dash here when we write the numbers 23. Another way is to find minutes before the hour. So this one's after the hour. Now we're looking at before. What does the hour hand tell you? That the time is between 2 and 3 o'clock. If we look at that hour hand, we are between 2 and 3 o'clock. And the minute hand tells us that it's after 2:30, right? It's after the 30-minute mark, the 6. It says, now count by 5s and 1s from the 12 on the clock back to where the minute hand is pointing. Write the missing counting numbers next to the clock. When a clock shows 31 or more minutes after the hour, you can read the time as a number of minutes before the next hour. So what that's basically saying is once it passes the 30-minute mark, you wouldn't necessarily say we are 43 minutes after 2 o'clock. That just really doesn't make sense. It's just too far away. So instead, we're going to be saying how many minutes it is before the next hour, which would be 3. So again, it's 2:43. That's what the clock's pointing at. And we're looking at 17 minutes before 3. So the next hour is 3 o'clock here. And if we went backwards, again, once it hits 12, the minute hand hits 12, we're going to be going into the next hour. So you could count back and see how many minutes before that happens. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 is to where this is pointing. So in 17 minutes, it will be 3 o'clock is what this is trying to show. 2:43 is 17 minutes before 3. It's a very wordy lesson, a completely different gear than fractions, so a lot to process. All right, page 563, share and show. How would you use counting and the minute hand to find the time shown on this clock? Then write the time. So looking at the clock, I can see that the hour hand, the shorter one, is between 1 and 2. And then the minute hand, it hasn't hit the 5 yet. It's almost at the 5. See that? You want to be very careful here and look closely. So I wrote that it's 1:24, and I count by 5s and 1s to find the minute. So I know my hour is 1, okay? At this point in the lesson, I know that it's not 2 yet. It hasn't hit there yet. It's between 1 and 2. So we're 1 o'clock. I know that we go 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, right? Because we haven't hit the 5 mark yet. We're almost there. So this is 1:24. And the strategy that I used is just counting by 5s and then 1s to find the minutes. Number 2, write the time and write one way you can read the time. So I want you to take your time with these. This is 2:56. Another way you could write it is 4 minutes before 3. Think of that. If I said, okay, lunch, imagine this would be really late, but say I said lunch is at 3 o'clock. Okay, well, apply to your own life. If you knew lunch was at 3 o'clock and it's 2:56, you might tell yourself, I have 4 minutes until lunch. That means that there's 4 minutes before 3 o'clock. If you add 4 minutes to this time, you would be at 3 o'clock. So you could either say 2:56 or 4 minutes before 3. And you need to have both because that's what the directions say. Write one way you can read the time. All right, number 3, 6:17 is what this clock is showing. Looking at the hour hand, I'm between 6 and 7. It's not 7 o'clock yet. We're still in the 6 o'clock zone here. Now, when I count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, I can't go all the way another 5 because we're before this, but it's 17. 6:17, 2 minutes after the 3. So we're 17 minutes after 6 o'clock, right? You can look at that right here. 17 minutes after 6 o'clock. This is a digital clock, and it's pretty simple. It just tells you the time. Now, this is kind of why we are running into the problem of reading what we call an analog clock. Okay, that's what this is. That's going to be discussed in the next lesson. However, an analog clock is the older types, more traditional types of clocks. Okay, there's an analog clock for you right there, but it's using Roman numerals. So these are becoming a lot more popular. In fact, we see them all over the place. They're on our phone screens, the computer screens, highways sometimes have them showing, the TV. So we've become really used to reading a clock just like this, even myself. And so we have to remember, though, this is still the main way to read time. And this is how it is originally. So you want to know what all of this means. Even, watches, smartwatches read like this. So you want to know how to do both. Again, this is 10:45, clearly, and it is 15 minutes before 11. Again, apply it to your own life. Give yourself a real-life example. If you were having snack at 11 o'clock and it's 10:45, you know you have 15 minutes before 11 hits. 15 more minutes to go until 11. 5 through 7, you are just writing the time and writing again that other way you could write it. Number 5 is 3:12, digital clock again. Try to get used to that word, digital clock. Digital versus analog. Digital, analog, analog, digital. So 3:12, 12 minutes after 3. This one is 10:48, 12 minutes before 11. And this one is 6:10, 10 minutes after 6. Numbers 8 through 11, you are going to be writing what the time must be. This one you're kind of solving a mystery. One suggestion I have for you to make this easier is that you circle the words after or before. That will really help you here. So if it's 34 minutes after 5, it must be 5:34. Right? 34 minutes after 5 o'clock. This one says 11 minutes before 6. So you kind of have to count backwards here from 60, right? Which would be 49. So 5:49 is 11 minutes before 6. Think about it. In 11 minutes, it would turn 6 o'clock if you added 11. Number 10, 22 minutes after 11 is 11:22. I find the after one's easier because you just have to write 11 and then the number. And this one, 5 minutes before 12 is 11:55. If you added 5 to that, you would be at 12 o'clock. All right, last page for today's lesson. Number 12, how many minutes later in the day did the groundhog in Pennsylvania see its shadow than the groundhog in New York? So you want to compare these two analog clocks here. And I wrote, look at the difference. So if you count the difference between New York and Pennsylvania, there's a difference of 3 minutes here. The hour is the same, right? We're both in 7 o'clock. The only thing that's different is the minute hand in both of them. This one is later, right? It's closer to that 30-minute mark by 3 minutes. So your answer is 3 minutes difference. What if the groundhog in Pennsylvania saw its shadow 5 minutes later? What time would this be? So you have to go to the Pennsylvania clock. These are abbreviations for the states. And you have to add 5 minutes to that. And if you add 5 minutes to that, you would get 7:33. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7:33. Number 14, if you look at your watch and the hour hand is between the 8 and 9, meaning that we're in the 8 o'clock zone, and the minute hand is on the 11, what time is it? The answer would be 8:55. And again, you want to start getting familiar with this analog clock and what each big number means, right? We know it goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So you want to have that memorized that the 11 is 55. At this point, I know you learned time in second grade. This is a little more advanced, going into it deeper. But you should be practicing so that you can look at a clock and know that 11 means 55 minutes. You should know that the 6 is 30, that the 4 is 20, 3 is 15. Really start practicing that so it becomes a natural thing when you look at it. Oh my goodness, my phone is going blurry. I don't know why. I think it's because I have low battery. Okay, let me get this done. Number 15, what time is it when the hour hand and the minute hand are both pointing to the same number? Aiden says it's 6:30 and Camilla says 12. Who is correct? Explain. So the answer would be Camilla is correct, because if it was 6:30, then the minute hand would be at the 30, but the hour hand would be between the 6 and the 7. So they wouldn't be identically on the same part. Number 16, verify. So again, we're seeing if this is true or not. Lucy said the time is 4:46 on her digital watch. Explain where the hands on an analog clock are pointing when it is 4:46. So the hour hand is going to be between the 4 and the 5, everyone, if it's 4. And the minute hand is pointing to the first minute mark past the 9. So we'll use this one as an example. We know that the 9 is the 45. If we counted by 5s all the way around, 9 is 45. And if it was 46, it would just be 1 minute past that 9 mark. Last question before my phone dies here. Write the time that